So hello, everybody. My name is Judi Uttal, and welcome to Autism and Entertainment Lessons Learned. We're here today to share what our knowledge is about helping individuals on the autism spectrum find employment in the entertainment space. And this is not the answer, really. The big question is whether we can get entertainment companies to be hiring people on the spectrum, and that was the main goal of our conference, was really to start increasing employment. But when we organized this conference, we knew that people like yourselves who are in the service area of helping people on the spectrum or helping other people with disabilities find employment wanted to attend. And we would have loved to have had the world at our conference, but there were capacity issues, and our priority was to have employment organizations, talent on the spectrum who were career ready, and their family members. So the purpose of this workshop is to share what our lessons learned are. And these could change over time, but to share that with you so you're better able to help individuals find employment. I'm going to give you some background on the conference. Then we had 6 different breakout rooms going on, and 4 of them were for the talent. And we had the moderators of each of those panels who are going to share tips based on specific career areas. And so that will be the second part of our session. Then Hilary Kokenda was a co-sponsor from Zavikon, and who helps individuals find employment. And she's going to talk a bit about, what do you tell companies is the reason to hire individuals on the spectrum, and give you a highlight into the employment process that they used in placing people. And then as people get placed, it's important that they have job coaching. And so we have members of CLU who are going to be, and Brainstorm Production, who are going to be sharing some things that they've learned about job coaching, that they had a separate grant where they were looking at job coaching with animation. And then Paul Hemstreet, who led our film production team, is going to discuss mentoring. And then finally, Susan Capps, who helped me run the conference, she put together the agenda, is going to be giving some specific advice to regional centers. Just a quick background on how this all happened. I run the Orange County Asperger's Support Group, which is a support group down in Orange County that helps teens and adults dealing with high-functioning autism improve their quality of life. Many years ago, I realized that the biggest challenge that people were having was employment, and I started partnering with Zavikon, and we ran 2 different career clubs for college graduates. I have a son on the spectrum who graduated from Cal State Fullerton in television and film, and that made me aware that people who were interested in entertainment were having a particularly difficult time. So I started thinking about, my background's high-tech marketing, and wouldn't it be great if we could put together a working group to work on increasing employment for individuals on the spectrum in entertainment. And I needed a partner. Zavikon was already in, but I needed somebody who was focused on the entertainment space. And I met Patricia Turney, showed up at one of my meetings, and she is the chair of the board for Exceptional Minds. She loved the idea, and in May of 2022, we started meeting. And we built together a team that included parents, it included educators, it included a variety of people from the industry who had an interest in expanding employment for individuals on the spectrum in the entertainment space. And we thought, well, what would be the 2 things we wanted to accomplish? And one of them was to do a conference. That summer, DDS put out a grant for creative ideas in employment. We applied and we got it, and the conference, we then had funding for doing an autism and entertainment conference. Our mission was to increase employment of work-ready autistic talent in the entertainment industry. We saw that as including 4 components. The first is Hollywood was already concerned about diversity, but they weren't thinking about neurodiversity. So not only should it be about looking different, but thinking different. Autism has a strong brand in high tech. We wanted to extend that brand into the entertainment space as them being strong folks with superpowers, as we ended up calling them a lot during our conference. There's a lot of resources out there that many of you are involved in, and we wanted to make sure that organizations that potentially could hire these people were aware of things like the paid internship program and pathways to employment. And similarly, we want to make sure that the talent and their caregivers were aware of these services as well. And then we wanted them aware of what resources were out there, but what is the right path to success. A bit about the conference. So for the talent, we wanted folks to meet people. We wanted them to network. We wanted them to listen. There wasn't as much time for them to ask questions. There was a lot of information shared that day. And for them to be motivated to what is the next step I need to take. The employees, we wanted to inspire them. We wanted them to learn what resources were available and to start thinking about a plan. And then for the caregivers, we wanted them to similarly learn and listen and find these resources and to be a part of this movement. Overall, what we wanted was for companies to hire differently. So here is a video that highlights the conference.
Yay! You are the cream of the crop. You are people who should be employed. And there are 85 employers here today fighting to meet you.
I'm the founder and CEO of Zavikon, and we help place individuals with disabilities and those who are neurodivergent in career-oriented employment, and we do it in a supported manner.
As I look back, I think all my stuff is about being on the spectrum, and all my characters are on the spectrum, because I don't know how to not be on the spectrum. To me, it is a superpower.
I'm Scott, and I'm autistic. We were born wired differently, and that's our advantage in this playing field of Hollywood.
DDS itself serves over 178,000 individuals on the autism spectrum, and you are desired and you are valuable to work.
Because the industry wants people on the spectrum to share their stories and their expertise and their talents.
Like persevere, you know, because those failures or perceived failures at the time will actually be like growth opportunities in the future.
Never fear failure.
I consider myself a creative casting director, and that means we want the best possible person for every single role. That includes you. So keep pushing forward. You're in the right place.
Ubisoft is really a pioneer in that regard in neurodivergent hiring.
When you have a mentor, just trust them and do what they say and go for it, 100%.
Find ways to tell your story through voice acting, through drawing, through whatever you love and do. Just keep telling your story.
I don't fight against autism. I fight with autism. It's a part of me. It makes me who I am.
So we had about 423 people there. There were 85 employers. 66 speakers. And what's amazing about that is every single one of them showed up. All of our panels were too large, and we kept being told, oh, don't worry, this is Hollywood, people won't show up. But every single person showed up, which shows the commitment. We ended up with 29 exhibitors, 12 educational partners. We had a team of speakers, planners, volunteers, over 30 volunteers. We worked with 4 regional centers and DOR, as well as DDS. This is kind of a breakdown, but you can see the largest group there were the talent. And then the second largest were the business professionals, and then the caregivers. So the professionals, we were looking at survey data, and 73% of those that responded to the survey indicate that they were more likely to hire someone on the spectrum. So that was great that that number was at, 3/4 of the group. And close to 90% felt confident that they would be able to apply what they learned at the conference. But what was interesting is we had some themes, and those came out very strongly, not because we really coached it, but just because they were natural themes. And I think the first was that autistic people have superpowers. Maybe it's attention to detail, maybe it's focus, maybe it's passion, but it kept coming up throughout the day in every single panel and every single talk was this concept of strength. All the people that came to the conference were trained. They had at least 2 years of work, and we have a whole network of educational partners. I'll share that slide in a minute, who are helping prepare these individuals to work in the entertainment space. And then that the government programs have some excellent funding opportunities for them to hire folks. For people on the spectrum, they also felt confident that they would be able to apply what they learned. So 75% indicated that. 68.8 said that they made connections and that they learned from other autistic talent. This was something that was really amazing, was the amount of networking that went on and the interchange between other people on the spectrum with each other or with some of the speakers and people in industry. There was a lot of fluid engagement going on. What was great was this is a population that I'm used to seeing them feel like they were broken, and they felt really empowered. They felt accepted for who they were. As I mentioned, they had a great opportunity to network, and they felt that they could be their real self, and they could promote who they were without fear of judgment. One of the things that we ended up building for this conference is we produced 6 documentaries. These were called spotlight videos and were shown throughout the day. They were designed to inspire the talent as well as the employers. And in addition, because they were produced by people on the spectrum, it gave opportunities for mentoring that you'll hear more about later. As we put together this conference, we learned that there was a whole network of organizations out there training these people, very much focused on this talent. We have some of them here today. Brainstorm, Animation, Exceptional Minds, all work on animation. Miracle Project, Spectrum Laboratories work on acting, Inclusion Films, Exceptional Minds, JDS, Visual Arts Academy, they all work on film and editing and After Effects. And then Game Gen was our game designer that we had there. But these are good resources for you to know about. And the 4 regional centers we partnered with were Regional Center of Orange County, West Side, North Los Angeles, and Latterman, which mapped well to where the studios are located. Okay, enough from me. Now you're going to meet people who have a lot of expertise in the field, talk about what it takes to be successful. And what you'll see on the screen are some of the points raised in the breakout sessions for the talent. But I just wanted to point out that all of our sessions were recorded and are up on our website. And with that, I would like to invite Diane to speak about the television and film session.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good Thursday. Thank you, Judi, for having me be here. Well, I moderated the film and television panel. We had a great group of directors and editors and producers who were a part of the panel, talking about how to break into the industry, the things that they need to learn, ways to go about making some of those initial connections, and as well as we were told by Suzette that Disney does have a program that that looks for those on the spectrum to apply and be able to be a part of the Disney organization. There was a lot of good conversation about the different things that go on in the industry, what to expect, how to be able to navigate that, as well as you know, how to kind of create your own entrepreneurial venture as well as a filmmaker or an editor and do that. Alex from Blue Star, he is a young man, or well, yeah, a man who is on the spectrum but has his own production company and how he works it. So he talked about how he goes about and getting clients and how to deal with the frustrations that sometimes come up in the industry, whether you're looking for work or actually in a job, and how to actually make that happen. We all talked about different ways to get training, to learn the skills and the tasks. One of those places being a facility like the one that I have here, which is a video production multimedia job training program to break individuals on the spectrum or with any kind of developmental disability, really, and work towards that, utilizing internships, whether that be an internship that is arranged by a facility or reaching out to some of the industry professionals, whether they were on the panel or talking about how to actually meet people in the industry so you could apply for internships and make that be a possibility for you. We broke down the industry. We had a lot of good questions that came up after everybody spoke. We couldn't even get through all the questions because there were so many good questions, and the answers sometimes took up too much time, but there were a lot of good questions and a lot of conversation even afterwards. Some had to run off to another breakout session, me included, but they stuck around and they talked, and they were available one-to-one to talk to the individuals who were in the room and share with them one-to-one more specific information that went on. You know, I'm a firm believer, as somebody who has worked in this industry for well over 25 years, that an internship is a great way to break into the industry, to get to know what it is you like most about this industry. You could have a lot of skills, whether that be especially on the post-production side, but which of those skills do you want to utilize for your profession, and then how you can kind of suss that out through an internship to make sure that it's a good fit for you. Programs, like I said, like ourselves, that help place you into different kinds of opportunities. I think even though we're talking about film and television, I also believe that the skills that you learn being in film and television are transferable skills to every industry. That's what we do here, is we help, we teach them the film and the television and the skills behind that, but how they can also be used in a marketing world, in a social media world, in content development, because that's the way of today's digital age, is creating content. And that's what this panel really talked about, was how to create content, how to get that content seen and get it out there so you can increase your portfolio and start taking steps towards actually having a career utilizing the film and television skills in a myriad of industries and different ways to go about that. Did I hit all your marks there, Judi?
You did great. Thank you so much, Diane.
My pleasure.
Okay. Next up is Stephen Silver from Silver Drawing Academy. And Stephen, I'm going to spotlight you. Here we go. Thank you, Stephen. You're all set.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me here today. So let me just tell you just a little bit about myself and my involvement with the autism in entertainment. I actually got my start back in 1990 doing caricatures in theme parks, and it was a great introduction for me into becoming a professional in art. It's something that I actually train a lot of artists that I work with these days, just to really try to learn that skill, try to communicate with people. You're outdoors, you're drawing. And then I eventually got hired at Warner Brothers Television Animation in 1997 as a character designer. And then from there, I went on to develop, create characters such as, you may have heard of Kim Possible, designed the characters for that show at Disney, and Danny Phantom for Nickelodeon. And I had just a lot of experience in the character design realm, but my true passion was teaching and always has been teaching. So I decided I wanted to open up a school, and I had a physical school at one point, and it was called the Silver Drawing Academy. And a lot of the students that I was having come through my academy, I was finding were on the autism spectrum. And there was just the way that I was teaching, because I teach very clearly, I teach in short bursts, and my methods of teaching, a lot of the students were just really engaged and reacting to my method of teaching, and it made me realize how important it is to just be able to expand, not just teaching people who are working professionals, but people in all facets. And then I got to have the experience of being a recruiter at Disney Television Animation, where I was able to now be in the position of seeing what was needed for each production and bringing people on. And during my time as a recruiter at Disney, I was asked to be on the advisory board of Exceptional Minds, which I'm still on right now, where I'm helping just them understand certain aspects of their training, and had the opportunity to go to Exceptional Minds 3 different times while I was there, and looking over students' portfolios and then just giving them what they need. And then got the opportunity to go to Brainstorm and do a talk there, and just really just saw just the enthusiasm and how they were really just embracing what I was sharing with them. And that's what opened up the doors for me to reach out to Autism in Entertainment and say, I'd love to be a part of this and let people know about what I can do to help in this community. And they had asked me to help moderate on the panel, where we just had a lot of these great guests that you can see listed in this panel, and start really diving into what is really required, what is needed in order to get hired in the animation industry, or not just the animation industry, but to be an artist in throughout any aspect of the industry, whether it's publishing, whether it's illustration, animation. So one of the biggest things that we encourage just all artists to do is really understand your craft. What is it that you want to do? Who do you want to be? And I think the more you define what that is earlier on, it helps set up that plan. So having that plan will help guide them to know that, hey, I want to be a character designer, or I want to be a background designer or a storyboard artist. Understanding these aspects of the industry will help them get even more focused in what it is that they want to do. So that's very important. And through this process, it's all about developing a strong portfolio. And as a recruiter, that's really the most important thing that we need to see from any individual who's applying for a job, is just to really be versatile in that specific genre. If you want to do character design, make sure you're drawing in a preschool style. Make sure you're drawing in an action adventure style. So the more variety you have, the better. And what I like to tell a lot of my students is that you got to think about, when people are looking at your portfolio, you may have beautiful oranges, apples, and pears in your portfolio, but if you don't have any bananas in there or strawberries, they may think you cannot do that. So the more versatile you are in your portfolio, the better. And also, we talked about in this panel the importance of practicing an elevator pitch. Just whether you're doing it in front of the mirror, whether you're doing it in front of your family, and just getting comfortable talking to people. And this is a very important thing when we were talking about artists on the spectrum, just to get comfortable, write things down. It's, if you need to memorize it, and it's important, if you want to, you can even have postcards, 3x5 cards, and write those questions down. And we just want to encourage people just to say what's on your mind, and really just speak up and let that interviewer know what it is that you really want to do and the goals that you have. Something that was important that we actually did discuss there was, is it necessary when you're interviewing to let people know that you're on the spectrum when you're interviewing them? And half the people said yes, half the people said maybe not. In all honesty, I don't think it's such a bad thing to let people know. It gives people context, and if they have that understanding and you're okay in sharing that, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm on the spectrum, but keep talking and sound like you know what you're talking about. This is what I think it's important for them to understand, that way you're not getting judged as much, because I've seen that judgment on the other side. If people don't understand where you are, where you're coming from, you may be judged. And this is why I think it's important to share that knowledge in the beginning. We talked about just dressing up for the part for these interviews. This is very important. Just don't go, make sure that you're looking clean, you're shaved, or whatever it is. If not that you need to wear a tie or anything, but don't go into an interview like I did many years ago when I first got hired, wearing flip-flops. That didn't work out so well for me, but I learned my lesson. And other things that we talked about was, how do you find out what good portfolios may be? And one of those ways that an artist can find out what a good portfolio needs to be is look at the end credits of animated shows and see the names of the people that are on the shows, and go to their websites and then just see what they're doing. And these are just a lot of the things that we were talking about in the collaboration. And this is another big part why it's so important. And what I really loved when I was at the Autism and Entertainment, setting up there, I had so many of the attendees just coming up to me and talking to me and having really great conversation. And I could see that they could absolutely work in this industry. They seem to have that confidence that's needed. And that's what it's about. It's about having the confidence and being open to that collaboration. And also, that's been discussed many times, is that hyper focus. Being able to hyper focus is a really great asset. So for myself and with my Silver Drawn Academy, I have a lot of students that are on the autism spectrum that I'm helping and guiding, and realizing that this is something that you got to keep doing, is keep educating yourself, keep learning wherever you can. This is how the artist is going to grow. This is how they're going to build that confidence. Make sure that you're going to conventions, and most importantly, make sure that you're showing up. That's going to be the most essential thing that any artist can do, is show up to these conventions, show up to these events, ask questions, be prepared, and get ready to start making your transition into this entertainment industry. All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Stephen. Marlene, let me plug you in here. Hi, Marlene.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for attending our workshop today, and we're excited to tell you more about what happened at this wonderful conference. I was in charge of the game design panel, and it was such a pleasure to moderate some of my colleagues from the game industry. So I have a background in video games and working on nerd properties, that is what I call them, nerd brands that attract video game players. And I had one of my former Sega colleagues was on the panel, as well as folks from PlayStation, a PlayStation alum, an EA alum. We had a famous video game creator, the creator of Qbert. Perhaps some of you have played that game, and others that Warren Davis created. And we also had one of our educational partners, Jamie Johnson from Game Gen, who was on the panel. So we had a nice, and we had an expert in the toy industry. She's an alum of Jakks Pacific and some of the other physical toy companies here in Los Angeles. Her name's Jenna Rosenberg. And so we had a really nice mix of personalities and expertise on our panel. And I would say that the main takeaway that came from this discussion was just do it. As a creator, we really wanted to empower the folks in the audience who are on the spectrum to just make their own content and put it out there, and but not just put it out there in a vacuum. Actively promote and engage with fan communities, with people who you admire, who've had careers that you would like to emulate. And so we emphasize this in different ways throughout the panel, but something magical happened during the course of the hour-long discussion. And so Game Gen had some of their Game Gen is one of the educational partners that has students who want to learn video game design as a career. And some of their actual students were in the audience for this panel, and they were very alert, had a lot of questions prepared ahead of time. And so some folks had a chance to ask the questions in real time, and then others, we had them submit questions on a piece of paper. And then at the end, we quickly ran through them. So again, we emphasized, make your own game design, make your own animation, your own characters, and find ways to interact with other people in the games universe so that you can share and network and so forth. So at the 11th hour, so to speak, we were going through the questions that came in on the papers, and one of the Game Gen students, she submitted a question, but on the piece of paper, she had drawn maybe 3 or 4 of her own interpretations of the Sonic the Hedgehog characters. They were magnificent. She nailed it, and she did it so beautifully and so quickly. And her question was, it was something like, how do you get important people in the industry to notice you? And so I nearly fell off my chair. I was so excited. I said, "You're doing it." Her name was Isabel. And of course, Jamie Johnson was just glowing with pride because that's his student. And so we applauded her, and we made a big deal about the fact that she was embodying all the messages, which there was really one main message, is just do it. And so it was a beautiful punctuation mark to this particular panel. And this panel happened near the end of the day. So we felt like, wow, people were absorbing the message, taking charge of their destiny and their career. And while you do need to be mindful of the gatekeepers in the business, there are steps you can do on your own to increase your chances. So anyway, I still get warm fuzzies thinking about that story, and I like to share it because I think it really communicates the message of the conference in a beautiful way. So that's about it for the games panel. Success all the way around.
Thanks, Marlene. Okay, last and definitely not least is Jason. Hold on, Jason, let me switch the slide and hopefully make you spotlight you. There we go. Hey, Jason.
Hello. Hello, everyone. How are you today? I am Jason Weisbro, the co-founder and CEO of Spectrum Laboratory, otherwise known as Spec Labs. So if you hear me saying Spec Labs a lot, that's our company. All of us call it Spec Labs for short. So I had the pleasure of moderating the voiceover acting panel at the conference, along with my voiceover extraordinaire teacher, Kathy McCauley, who was on the panel right next to me there in that picture. She's been running our voiceover program for the last 4 years and has over 40 years of experience in voiceover. And so she's really got a program where we can take actors at the beginning level or actors who are auditioning, whatever level you're at, and bring them into Spectrum Laboratory and teach them wherever they are. And that's one of our students, Dominique Brown, who is on my right there. And he has gotten work professionally in the entertainment industry. He's one of our success stories at Spectrum Laboratory. He was a recurring character on the show Atypical. He did one of the spotlight videos for the conference, so you can check him out there. He talks about his work at Spectrum Laboratory in that spotlight video. And the voiceover acting panel was really fun. We had Jorge Gutierrez, who's just like, you heard a little bit from him in the video before, but he's an animator, creator, director, Renaissance man, painter. He's just an incredible human being who's on our advisory board at Spectrum Laboratory, and just a beautiful man who spoke about his experience as an autistic creator. We also had an agent, Melissa Berger-Brennan. We had Britton Payne from Nickelodeon. We had a casting director, a voiceover casting director, Kristen Paiva. I definitely check it out online. It was a really fun panel. And even though I was the head of the voiceover acting panel for this conference, what's really unique about Spectrum Laboratory is voiceover acting is just one piece of the puzzle of what we do. We also do on-camera acting. We do filmmaking anywhere you want to be in the process of filmmaking. We teach different classes for students. We do music creation, whether it's writing songs, or we have a composing class for film and TV, so you can learn how to compose music for film and television. We also have an art and design program for storyboarding, as well as character design, if you want to create characters for animation or for video games. So we have a bunch of different departments at Spectrum Laboratory. And what I always tell people if they want to learn more about us is what makes us a little different than other programs out there is we're an educational training company, and we are person-centered. So whoever comes to the program, whatever their passion may be within the entertainment industry, we find a class or a mentor that we can pair up with them. So if for filmmaking, for example, if somebody's just interested in editing, great. We bring them in, they start editing the short films we create. We put them through that process. Someone's a screenwriter, they come in, they're writing for our shorts. If they're an actor, they come to our on-camera class, our short film class, and they start building their portfolios, their resumes at Spectrum Laboratory. Because a lot of people want to do this, but they're starting. They don't know how to get auditions, how to get an agent, how to build your demo reel. And that's really where we come in. We're like a stepping ground from, I want to do this, but how the heck am I going to do this? And then that's where Spectrum Laboratory comes in. We work with all different types of autistic and neurodivergent artists. We have people all over the spectrum. Some other companies like have requisites that you have to have an autism diagnosis. We don't have anything like that. If you have a passion for the industry and you find challenges in your own life, whatever they may be, come to Spectrum Laboratory, and we're going to do our best to get you involved with our educational component, which are the classes, but also our community, which is basically my favorite thing, because we are a family and we support each other. We make short films, we make songs, we have a band that performs live at concerts. We have voice acting, and we get our students auditions. We help them build their online and presence to get work within the industry. But we are not a vocational school. We don't, We don't go saying that. We are more of an educational training stepping stool type school. And we also just create a lot of our own creative projects in-house. And then another way we get work for a lot of our artists is clients will hire us and we'll put our students onto work from client jobs. So I think I handled a lot there. If you are interested, when we're not able to do screen sharing, but I was going to show you the website, but you can check it out on your own. But it's speclabs.org. It's in my name here. You can visit our website at speclabs.org. Learn a bunch about us. A lot of you know about us. Those who don't, reach out to me. Yeah, you can contact us through the website. And yeah, I think I tackled everything there, Judi.
Thanks, Jason. I just want to say that all these educational partners were just great. Really helped us a lot in terms of the conference. And we ended up creating over 32 work opportunities with the partnership of Zavikon. But one of them was an actor, Tyler Berman, who is a Spectrum Labs student. And he ended up getting cast as our voice of God. So throughout the conference, all the announcements were being done by Tyler. And he worked with Kathy McCauley, who also is at Spectrum's Labs, who recorded and prepared all the content that we needed. So those are just little examples of how this community pulled together for the conference and about creating opportunities for people to show their work. So with that, I want to spotlight Hilary, who's going to cover this next area, which is employer benefits. Hi, Hilary.
Hi, thank you, Judi. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Very excited to share my component of this wonderful event. So we can go.
I'm working on it. There we go.
Okay, so what, excuse me, what we at Zavikon do is we help individuals find jobs, and where it be a gig or a contract or a permanent position, we are in the business of, like we like to say, a little crass, but putting butts in seats. So we have so many candidates and so much talent that comes to us interested in the entertainment industry. We do all industries, but we had so many that we jumped on the chance to work with Judi. Well, we always jump at the chance to work with Judi, but in particular on this event, and just kind of a little bit of background. And I'll get a little bit into more what we do, the details of it in the next section. But this is focusing on the benefits of neurodiverse hiring. So we are constantly looking for opportunities for our candidates. And this is what we present to the employers. This is what we tell them as to why you need diversity of thought. It actually boosts business, helps companies. And we have statistics, we have proof. And these are the things that we go through. So we'd like to share them with all of you as well. So I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly, but you can also read along. So hiring individuals on the spectrum has positively impacted entertainment companies. We know, we've seen it happen. Multiple studios have partnered with Exceptional Minds, who does an incredible job to and they outsource visual effects production to these trained production artists, and they do a phenomenal job, and they're getting credits, so it's working. Game development is fueled by neurodiversity. There is a very high percentage of neurodivergent individuals that work in that industry, so it is critical that those individuals and a lot of neurodivergent individuals are consumers of the industry as well. So often we stress that if you have consumers who are neurodivergent, you want employees that are neurodivergent, because who better to connect and communicate and understand and, you know, sell to that community. Neurodiverse talent have skills and abilities that enable them to meet their team's production goals, while efforts to empower them facilitate organizations to enhance their corporate culture and better their business results. I love that one, because when we go into a business, we work with them on accommodations and how to support our talent. And it's amazing, but often the things that we request benefit, almost always benefit everybody. So we see it happen. We see teams that bring on neurodivergent talent, and we see the entire team, the entire department, that morale boosts and they become more productive. We have seen it over and over again. So next slide. And these are cold hard facts. Businesses that actively seek to employ people with disabilities outperform businesses that do not. They have higher revenue, higher net income, higher profit margins. And they are also more likely to have higher shareholder returns that outperform those in their peer group that are not actively seeking to hire from this community. Cultural change. Kind of already alluded to this before. Accommodating neurodiversity can have tremendous impact on a corporate culture. It positively impacts. I see people who have been maybe hired somebody, maybe it's a hiring manager or a coworker, and working with somebody day in, day out, and it boosts their morale. And what we often ask is, you know, some of these accommodations are about maybe, you know, exercising your compassion muscle, or just thinking about how to communicate things, and consider the recipient of your communication when speaking, or when, you know, sending an email or whatever it is. And what that does is it exercises that compassion muscle, and it makes coworkers more cohesive, and it just makes everybody work together better, and it gives people a sense of pride. I lived experience. I talk to them all the time. I have so many anecdotes of people who brought on somebody or have a new coworker, and it's like a breath of fresh air, and they had never looked at things in a certain way, and now they have a different perspective, and it makes them, not just the individual being supported, it makes everybody better employees. And that's why I believe we see improvements to the bottom line. So next slide. Benefits of enhancing employee skills. This is these are what we call, what Judi had alluded or mentioned before, is the superpowers. Often bringing in neurodivergent individuals, they have certain talents that make them really, really good at certain things, be it attention to detail, the pattern recognition. And in entertainment, this can be very, very beneficial. Maybe it's hyper focus, and they can hyper focus, you know, when there's a huge deadline, they're able to get it done in a way that maybe somebody else isn't. When they can, that attention to detail is amazing for, say, editing. They're able to find things quickly in a way that maybe not other people are. So, they also have often heightened sensory. So they're bringing this perspective, this diversity of thought that, you know, just raises the collective intelligence. When you bring in everybody that maybe thinks the same way, they're not going to be that creativity. There's creativity, but it's going to be more creative the more the more different perspectives you bring in. And we see this, and particularly in entertainment, it just improves the quality of content. And then passion. Many of our neurodivergent talent, they are so passionate about this industry, about what it is that they love, and they tend to bring this passion into a company and just energize it. It's incredible to see. They love it. And it often, or I've seen it remind those around them why they got into the entertainment industry in the first place, because they had a passion and a love for it that drove them to get into an industry that, you know, is not the easiest to break into. So, you know, you have to have a certain drive, and it really, that there's so much gratitude that I've seen for the individuals that we've placed in entertainment, and it's contagious. It just is. Increasing creativity. I covered this. Some of my points bled into this one, but it's just different ways of thinking, and what industry wants creativity more than entertainment? So these individuals bring these different perspectives. I mean, all industries are always talking about disruptors. Come in and disrupt the industry and, you know, propel it forward. Well, who is a better disruptor than somebody who looks at the world through a different lens? They have an ability to really just, you know, flip on those light bulbs, have these epiphanies, and increase the quality and creativity.
Hilary, I wanted to add a couple things to this while we're talking about this. Two things. One is Jorge Gutierrez was featured in a Variety article and an Animation World article after going to our conference. And he talked about all the people he talked to. And he says he goes to conferences all the time and hears people's ideas all the time. And he said he was blown away by all the creative ideas he heard at our conference, that it was just at a whole different level. And I think during the conference, we had different speakers. One of them that we had was Scott Steindorf, who had just finished a film called Understanding Autism that has been showing on PBS. And he's an adult who has now found that he is autistic. And he talked about a couple of things. One thing was that he said a lot of people in Hollywood are autistic. They just haven't disclosed it, was one thing. But the other thing he said, and this ties into what you were saying, Hilary, was that people that are autistic are wired differently. They think differently. And what is thinking differently? It's innovation. And if you look at a lot of the companies that have innovated, whether it's Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, these are organizations where there might be an autistic person at the top. And so I thought for Hollywood, that's been in kind of this Star Wars 12.0 mode for a long time, that ability to come up with something very creative was viewed by people at the conference as being a source of fresh air.
Absolutely. And thank you for adding that. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in the individuals that we've helped place. They're making an impact, and it's an impact that not everybody is capable of making. So it's a superpower. And awareness, I believe and I feel, is being raised, and entertainment companies are starting to recognize that if they seek this out, it's going to bring, you know, huge benefits. So then more benefits: strengthening your corporate brand. Currently, CDC recognizes 1 in 36 children born in, I believe it's the US, are being identified as on the autism spectrum. you talk to almost anybody and they have someone in their family or a friend, or they have some connection to children who may be on the spectrum, or employees are neurodiverse themselves. So supporting this and embracing this, making it a safe space for people to disclose, enhances the company's public image and reputation. And it makes employees, even, if parents who have children who are neurodivergent, they have a sense of pride and gratefulness when they know that their company is supporting this, and it creates loyalty. And I don't know if we're getting to that. I think we're getting to it next, but it helps with job retention. I mean, we see job retention increase dramatically when companies embrace this. So, and as you may know, one of the most expensive things that companies deal with is turnover. So if you have ways to increase that loyalty and increase retention, it is a huge money saver for corporations. Okay, employment process. So one thing to note is the entertainment industry right now is in transition. So we wanted to point this out. There's a lot going on with the entertainment consumption. So particularly since, COVID, but even before COVID, streaming became, huge, and people aren't going to the theaters as much as they used to. It's a shift, and it's dramatic. So studios, production companies, across the entertainment industry, there are a lot of strategy discussions happening in big boardrooms, trying to figure out how to best, adapt, ride the wave. So there's a little bit of slowing in some hiring as things get figured out. And that's a common thing in any industry. When there's a disruption and things are changing, companies want to make sure that they are adapting in a way that's going to ensure, long-term success and growth and all the good things. So right now there is it's just a little bit slow because people are really trying to take a deep breath and figure out how this is going to flesh out. Technology, AI, is a very big deal right now. How is it going to be used? How, when, where, why, and who is it going to affect? Potential reduction in positions. Again, the entertainment industry is trying to figure it out, and it's caused some slowdown. And I personally, I can't predict the future, but I think it's all going to flesh out, and AI is going to become definitely integrated and a part of entertainment. But I still think you need humans and creativity and everything to drive the AI. But that's
Hilary, I wanted to add on something. When we started planning this conference, there was a strike going on. There was the writers' strike, there was the actors' strike. And so for half the time we were planning this conference, we were watching the industry be at a standstill. So, and that whole discussion of consumption and AI technology were a key part of what was being negotiated. I'm done with my little 2 cents.
Yeah, no, it's really true. The AI was like the biggest sticking point, and what extended the length of the strike more than I think any of the other points, and how to deal with that in terms of you know, SAG and the WGA and everything. So it's like people don't quite know exactly what the full impact is going to be, and there's a little bit of sitting back and trying to wait and see. But I do think that they'll get through it, and you know, I think it'll pick up again. But again, that's me trying to predict the future, so grain of salt. The other thing with transition, excuse me, is diversity, equity, and inclusion is losing some momentum based on many external factors. That said, neurodiversity and disability sometimes are not included in DE&I, sometimes they are. So it's a little bit of an interesting position to see how that is going to flesh out. But I think, again, people are waiting to see what happens with DE&I based on, you know, external things that are coming in the next few months. And, you know, we're going to see how that goes. But again, I keep interjecting my own personal opinion. I think DE&I think neurodiversity hiring can exist outside of DE&I, based on all of the benefits we just talked about. Those don't go away. And it is regarded a little bit differently. So, but again, it's a wait and see. And there's some hesitation around continuing to build those programs through DE&I. California becoming unattractive for entertainment. This has been a trend for quite a while. Other states, other countries are doing a better job of incentivizing productions to come to them. California can be difficult for productions. So a lot of them are leaving the state. So we are seeing, you know, it's not that there are fewer jobs, but there are fewer jobs in California. The other thing is there's, you know, there's a bias in California against the kind of gig employment that is inherent in entertainment. People go from one gig to the next or one production to the next. It's for certain types of jobs, and that's just the way it works. So you don't see, not everybody that works in entertainment has, you know, a permanent position. They go from project to project. So navigating that in California with taxes and all those things can be difficult. So productions are finding more, you know, are finding locations that make it easier for them. And then all of this is leading to workforce vulnerability in the entertainment industry. Just, you know, it's not as, it just makes it harder. But I think there's some wait and see, and I think that there's going to be some improvement, hopefully, here fairly soon. Sorry, that was a lot. Thanks, Judi, for your 2 cents as well. How Zavikon can help. So, like I said, we're a recruiting firm. Our mission is to place neurodivergent individuals and those with disabilities in career-oriented, meaningful jobs. So we're quite networked. Really, we place people across the U.S., but we are based in California, so we do have the most traction here. We're always partnering with, you know, events like AIE, other efforts, organizations, and we have been really focused on building this entertainment industry network with Judi. It was the idea that she came up with and we jumped on, because there are so many of our candidates that are interested in this industry. So we're just constantly working on building that network. This has kind of been alluded to, getting creative and working with our candidates to understand that, you know, opportunities come in many different shapes and sizes. a life-changing experience doesn't have to be the dream job at the studio. It can be an internship. It can be a volunteer position, an apprenticeship. It can be taking a class. So we're encouraging them to keep working, keep driving. You just never know where that opportunity that propels you to the next level is going to happen. Navigating potential programs. So this is where we've done a lot of work through the grant. We had our own grant in addition to the one where we were supporting, in addition to AIE where we were supporting Judi, our own DDS employment grant where we were tasked with placing individuals in competitive integrated employment. And we have found the power of the Regional Center's paid internship program and other programs out there. DOR has programs that are great. We've found that using them to initially open doors at employers has been incredibly effective. The goal is always to have a paid internship and convert it, or an adult work experience and convert it into a permanent position. It doesn't always happen, but it's been happening quite a bit, and it's been amazing to see. So we're helping employers that we work with navigate these programs because there's a learning curve, and sometimes they can be sort of challenging to navigate. So we've educated ourselves, and we step in and we help get them through that process to take advantage and give individuals opportunity. It's been, I mean, these programs are fantastic. So those of you that are involved in them, thank you. They've really been having a huge impact on many of our talents' lives. Setting expectations. We work with candidates all the time. Kind of goes along with getting creative, but a dream job is usually not your first job. As we probably all know, career is a process and a journey, not just a destination. We work with a lot of individuals, particularly younger individuals, who think that they're just going to wake up one day and find the dream job and then that, I'm done. So working with them to understand, you got to, it's a step-by-step, sometimes very long process to get to that ultimate goal, but there's also beauty in the process, and the things you learn along the way that make you better once you're ready to step into that position that you've always been dreaming of. And then supported placement. So I'm going to get a little bit more into that in the next slide. So supported placement is really the primary service that Zavikon provides. And that's what we have provided for placing our individuals for our DDS grant and placing the 32 or the 32 placements or job opportunities / experiences that we did along with AIE. So I'll get into that. All right, so supported placement journey. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but the idea is that regional center service coordinators, individuals themselves, whoever can reach out to Zavikon. And I probably should have included an email address. It's actually pretty easy, info@zavikon.net. We can send that out to everybody if they're interested, or put it in, I don't know, Judi, if you have an ability to put it in a chat. You just send us an email and let us know that you have somebody who's interested. We reach out to them and we ask them to complete some initial forms. Then what we do is we call a meet and greet. It's not an interview, it's very informal, but we feel it's very important to meet everybody that we work with. Our what we believe is our secret sauce is a high touch human experience, not just words on a resume that gets subjected to a hiring algorithm. We want to meet that person. After we meet them, we have them complete some additional forms. And through all this, what we're really trying to get at is what are they looking for? What can we help them find? So then we start any sort of job search and identification. By identification, we do often have employers that we work with on a regular basis, and we do job customization. So we have companies where we can go to them and say, hey, look at this individual. They're fantastic. Is there anything we can figure out to do to, find them an opportunity? And it works. It happens. Not every day, but it's not uncommon either. Next thing we do is what we call a supported interview. We do interview prep. Again, part of our secret sauce, we believe, is that individual touch. And what we do with the interview is we coach not just the interviewer, but the not just the interviewee, but the interviewer. So we find out from the candidate, from the talent, what can be done to help you interview best. There's so many things that come up. Maybe it's getting the questions in advance. Employers have been open to that. Maybe it's just giving them some awareness of, this person may not make eye contact with you. Don't interpret that as they're not listening or engaged. That's how they focus. And often that awareness takes away what would create some sort of what would distract an interviewer from really getting to see the talent of that interviewee and really see what they're going to bring to the table. We have found that over 80% of our talent cite the interview as their biggest barrier to employment. So we do spend a lot of time here, and we have found that our interventions and our coaching have made quite a big impact. We've been able to work with individuals who have done interview after interview after interview with no success, and have them finally, move on and get an offer. So it's pretty cool. After that interview, if everything goes well, there's a job offer and a job acceptance. And then we do supported onboarding. So we make sure that everything that needs to happen to get them onboarded happens, that they fill out their forms. We help coordinate first day of work. Just make sure that just help them through that sometimes unknown period of what needs to be done. Supported onboarding can also include, if we're doing it through a paid internship program or adult work experience, will help get through that process and get them enrolled so that they can get started on their opportunity. We do education with managers, coworkers, really whoever will listen to us. And it's similar to what we do for the interview. What can you do to best support them in an interview? This becomes, what can you do to best support this person in the job? We do general overall trainings, but we also focus on that individual. Again, it's that individualized attention. And then we do career coaching support for the first 90 days. It's not a job shadow situation where someone's there every day. It is a virtual advocate who is checking in with everybody and making sure that, communication protocols are being set up, whatever needs to happen. The goal is to lay a foundation for long-term success. So that's what we do. And that, I think, is all I have.
Thank you, Hilary.
I think you've been stuck with me the longest, so I will give you a break.
Thank you, Hilary. So what we're going to talk about next is after people, some of what Paul did was before they found employment, the mentoring process, and then we'll have the CLU team talk about job coaching.
Everybody, I'm Paul Hemstreet, and I'm head of video production for Autism and Entertainment. And I had the pleasure of working with neurodivergent crews to produce 6 spotlight videos and all the conference coverage. And and it was an amazing experience. My background is as an independent producer. I was senior vice president of creative content at Warner Home Entertainment for 23 years. So I have a lot of experience working with different teams and crews. I had never worked with neurodivergent crews before this experience. I have two adult sons on the spectrum. One of them is studying animation. So I have a very close connection to this. And the experience of working with these crews, you work with predominantly neurodivergent crews to shoot and edit the videos, and then a crew of about 7 people at the conference itself, shooting everything, recording everything, photography. And working with the crews, we were able to give a professional work experience. We were able to pay people, or some of the participants were regional center clients. And as I'll get into in a minute, were on PIPs, paid internship programs. So we're able to leverage that as well, which really helped us a lot, helped us out on our budget, stretched our budget. So working with the crews, we were able to provide some accommodations to make everybody work most effectively and give a real working experience. I found clear communication tailored to each individual was the most important thing, because everyone is different. And as a producer, I really try to hone in on the best way to communicate with them. We had a dedicated AV team room at the conference, which was not only our headquarters, but also a place where the crew could go for a few minutes of quiet, a few minutes out of the hectic conference, a safe space. And I also worked on pairing people together, whether it was with a more experienced person, with a less experienced, or 2 people that knew each other, that were compatible. So I really tried to work to build teams as we went into the conference, and had our crew spread out across the sprawling Skirball Center in sometimes 10 different locations. Also, I think the closest mentoring that I did was with the individuals who were directors, camera operators, and the editors of the Spectrum Spotlight videos. The Spectrum Spotlight videos, as Judi mentioned before, covered an individual on the spectrum who had success in their career starting out. And so we had 6 different shoots lined up. Our production timelines were about 3 months for each one, because of a month or so setting up the shooting, getting all the footage logged, and then the post-production, editing and reviewing. So I really had a closer one-on-one relationship. So I was able to work with 2 individuals most closely. Josh Copeland, who happens to be Judi's son, and he shot a couple of the videos and edited 2 of them as well. He was camera and director at the same time. And so I could work very closely, setting up shots, making sure all the crew things were handled, and really helping him along in the process. And it just took sometimes a little bit of suggestion, and Josh came back with great results, great answers, great ideas around it all. And he carried that into the editing of the pieces he did as well. Josh was in a PIP, paid internship program, for most of the time we were working on those. And then towards the end, he finished that and transitioned into a self-determination program, which he is currently in. When we finished all the content for the conference videos, I began working with him, teaching editing skills. So the sessions now under self-determination are really focused on specific things, how to do certain styles of editing, techniques in editing. And we can also apply some of that to material from the conference. For example, we have testimonials, some amazing testimonials of people at the conference. So I can use that material to help teach Josh some skills, but we're getting content from it as well that we can later use in our promotions and our social channels and things like that. So it's been a really great benefit to have these programs, like self-determination and the PIP. Julian Graycheck, he shot and edited 3 of the videos, the Spectrum Spotlight videos. He was able to sign up for the DOR work experience. And this is a program that I wasn't fully familiar with, and people in the organization, Autism and Entertainment, came forward with this, and it was really a great opportunity. In getting it set up, it did take some straightening out on different levels because some departments that we were dealing with, the DOR, weren't aware of some of the rules. So we were able to sort all that out, and it was in advance of the conference. And at the conference, there was a session that focused on some of these programs, and we're able to share that information out with parents and caregivers. And that's something I think is really important, so people know all the benefits of these programs, because to have Josh and Julian be able to be on these programs really enabled us to do more work, be able to have more crew members at the actual conference, because we had the budget to do it, because we got money back from them being paid through these programs. And it really paid off working with these amazing, talented, creative individuals on the spectrum to produce this content. We had over 12 hours of video content produced for our website, which you can go up there and look at all the videos and all the panels. And we also had one of those spotlight videos entered in festivals, and it was most recently last week in the San Diego Comic-Con International Film Festival. So Judi, Marlene, myself, Julian, and Danny Bowman were able to be down there for that and be on a panel. So the rewards have been great, and as we would like to continue this work and practicing what we're preaching by working with neurodivergent crews in this way.
Right. Hi, I'm Ginny Erxleben, and thank you very much for these great presentations. As I've said many times, this conference put together a group of people who are like-minded and who are action-oriented. And what we have to contribute to you in this conversation today is we are the agency that gets the clients ready to work. And we participated in the DDS grant process, and one of our deliverables was to talk about job coaches. And so you'll hear a little bit about what we did, and we welcome questions, of course. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sylvia.
Right, and very quickly, for those of you who don't know what we do, we are a 3-year training program, but today we're going to focus on our studio, where we have employed 21 of our prior clients, and they are working animators in our animation studios. And Paul, you brought up walking the walk, and that always makes me think our lead studio instructor is also a client of Harbor Regional Center, and I feel the same way about our program. We are absolutely walking the walk. And what we are doing, due to everything that we've talked about already, AI and the industry kind of I don't want to say falling apart, but the industry kind of falling apart, we have seen the necessity in preparing these guys for freelance work, for micro enterprise work. So we are introducing that into our curriculum and into our training portion of the studio day, the work day. And we feel that it's critical at this point, because that's what it's looking like. People are going to be working from home. And because of that, we have entered into the remote job coaching business, if you will. That was a, like as Ginny said, it was a deliverable of the grant that we were to write training modules for these remote job coaches, which we did, and that we implemented remote job coaching for the half of the grant time that we were allocated. And I think, next slide, I think this is, Christine is the job coach. She has years of experience with the traditional job coaching, and she was our premier job coach during the grant, remote job coach. And I'm going to let her speak because she was the person that did it. So
I was in the nitty-gritty of it. Yeah. Hi, my name is Christine. I was, like Sylvia said, the remote job coach while we participated in the grant. Just starting off, what we did in the grant is we conducted person-centered plans for each of our clients that were participating in this. And what we noticed as we were doing the PCPs, that they became automatically career-centered. The clients talked about what they wanted in their career, what they wanted to do. Like I think Stephen had said, you know, some people want to do, maybe character design or something, in the industry. So we took all that information. We created their person-centered plan or person-centered career plan. And that's what the job coaches did during the grant is we focused on their person-centered career plan. We executed a plan for each person. We supported them in what they wanted to do. We coached them in, their career path. And then during that time too, we also trained, we had another remote job coach that was working with us on the grant. We trained that job coach and we trained them on their person-centered planning, how that person wanted to be supported, because we really wanted to stay person-centered. And then we measured the soft skills. We measured from the beginning to the 6 months. It was 6 months. So from January to June. And can you go to the next slide, please?
No, could I make a comment here? Because
yeah, sure.
Conversation. Judi, if you could go back for one. What we really wanted to do was test the question, could a client be supported with remote support? What were the key elements? And as you heard from Christine, the 3 real identifiers or necessary parts to make that work. And you'll see, we proved you can support remotely. It's just identifying the needs, training, and also measuring soft skills, because those are success parts of the workplace. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, next slide now. And as I mentioned before, part of our deliverables were to create training modules for these remote job coaches. These, as you all know, if you've worked with job coaches, they're usually people off the street. They usually don't have really any knowledge of people on the spectrum. Maybe a little, maybe their neighbor's son had autism. That's usually what we hear. They're pretty much just interested people off the street. They're not making a whole lot of money. So we created these 3 modules that just kind of explain themselves here: understanding the neurodiverse employee, being an effective remote employment facilitator, which is just a lovely name for job coach, and then supporting the soft skills in the workplace. All of these modules were created with using very simple language geared towards the off the street person that thinks they could do this job, thinks they have an interest in this population. So they're not juvenile, they're not, they're not infantilized. They are just written simply. They are short because we understand the average attention span of all of us, neurodivergent or typical. And so they're colorful, they're easy to understand, they move quickly. There's a comprehension quiz at the end that automatically comes back to us to let us know that they indeed, spent some time on these modules. Like I said, they're maybe 20 minutes each. We think they're very comprehensive. We think they pack the punch that we need. They were divided up into these 3 different categories just because of the attention span and the fact that I can get through this in 20 minutes. This is easy. Because nobody wants to sit in front of a 40-page, 50-page, PowerPoint that goes on and on and on. The 4th one is geared towards our proprietary software that measures the foundational soft skills that we use. And I keep using that term. Through our research before the grant, we saw that they are lacking. Everybody in the job force is lacking soft skills, typical, neurotypical, but our kids in particular, I've spent years trying to employ this population, and they can get the jobs, not that hard to get the foot in the door, but to keep it is a whole another ball game. So a lot of our training is focused on that, and we use these 7 specific soft skills that we honed in on. And if you could go to the next slide, please. I'll let Christine take this.
So we did some research prior to the grant, and we decided on focusing on these 7 soft skills because we felt like these were the ones that, like Sylvia said, are important for our clients to keep their job. Next slide, please. And then, so we felt that it was important for them to focus on those 7 soft skills because, we know that they need to, have the, what am I trying to say here? Sylvia, help me out.
No, I think what we're trying to say is that these soft skills you can read, they support relationships.
Yeah.
And it's all that unspoken understandings within the office that is automatically expected and automatically part of being an employee. And so what we're aware of is that our clients may not be aware of these unspoken understandings or features that would be just part of being in a community, especially the unplanned challenges.
Right, and we've lived it. We started the studio before all this happened. They were in a work situation. We were surrounding them and seeing what they were lacking, seeing what was going wrong. We obviously it's always communication.
And I do feel, Sylvia, I'm sorry, like I do feel like these things are like just expected of a young adult to go into their, first job maybe and just know these things. And it's something they have to be coached on, and that's what we learned through the process.
So I think we can go to the next slide.
So this is some of the data that we took from the grant that we participated in, and it's based on the 7 soft skills. If you notice along the bottom, those are the 7 soft skills. Each one of the bar graphs, each color is represented by one of the soft skills. And per the grant details, we had to start off at 100% support, and we had to fade in support as remote job coaches. And you notice in the beginning of the grant that there was an adjustment period. There was some coaching going along. We're 100%. And as we faded, we noticed that because we did that coaching in the beginning, the clients' independent use of the soft skills increased. So we thought it was beneficial for each one of the clients to understand the soft skills, utilize the soft skills, and to use them independently and know the right time to, communicate, interject in a conversation, have the confidence to problem solve. And all of these things did build their confidence at the end of the grant, and they still maintain all of this information to today. So I feel like these 7 soft skills that we focused on were very, very beneficial to the client.
So our original question was, could you support? We think it's a necessary option. We think that all of our clients need to have someone with them in the workplace. We feel that it is appropriate in some industries, and indeed it may be a barrier to have someone with the client in the workplace. So our question was, does it work? And we took daily data on all the soft skills for all of the participants that were in this study. And as Christine so carefully walked through that, what we saw was growth. And that's what we were hoping for. We didn't know whether it would work or not, but it does. So we're offering this as an option for clients and an option for service delivery to support.
And I want to add to that we are continuing to use remote support, as I mentioned before, because our training has included freelance work, and that's difficult enough for a typical person. But and you might ask, what does this look like? Christine was home doing the remote support. The clients were in the studio. It was invisible to the average employee. It was to begin with, 100% support was kind of difficult, but there was a little screen on their monitor where, you know, she could kind of monitor facial expressions, body language. Right, whether they were distracted, but towards the end, it became an email in the morning, it became an email in the afternoon. That is the 20% that they achieved is what we will be utilizing moving forward in the studio. And what we did find out was it does work. It is effective. It does not demoralize that employee. It's not another person in the building with a clipboard, you know, that kind of stigmatizes them. It's we're very excited about it because it is so effective. And
Sylvia, Kimmy, I believe, I have to put my glasses on. We're in Northern California. What advice do you have for neurodivergent individual that we support in the job development interested in working remotely? I think the advice that I would give is that you're being introduced to this concept, and certainly we've had the support of Harbor Regional, who is our regional center that we work with, and we have a good working relationship there. We want to be able to tell this story, and we want to be able to have people be introduced to this option, which we think that our clients should have options.
And right, this, not only do they have to be working in a studio with a remote job coach, but when they are working remotely, they would also have a remote job coach. So trying to make it short and sweet, guys. We welcome questions. And this is a shameless plug on the screen right now. This is us.
But we want you guys to, you can scan the barcode and you can see some of the amazing work that our clients have done and created their animation shorts. So you could take a look at their work. It's good stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to continue and move forward. I think Susan's up next, but thank you so much.
So I am Susan Capps, and I work in healthcare during the day, but as Judi said, I helped out with the agenda for the conference. I'm also on the board of Exceptional Minds, and my son is currently on a paid internship program working remotely in 2D animation as part of Tri-Counties Regional Center. So you heard a lot of information here today. So let's go through a little bit of what we tried to summarize about how you all can help in the regional centers. You know, as you think about people, your clients who want to work in this field, you know, encourage them to follow some of these bullet points here about things that they have to do. And I'm going to draw your attention to the second one. You heard our moderators of several of the panels talk about just get out there and do it. Even if it's unpaid work, do it. Put it in your portfolio, put it on your website, put it in your demonstration reel and so forth. And I think I would ask all of you as regional center members, think about how you can support that, whether it's funding a mentor or it's helping helping them find someone and whether funding it or helping them find someone who can help your clients put these things together. I think this is an area that maybe you could think about. How could the regional centers help out on this? I just throw this out there because it's so important for people to get employment. And I think also here at the end, talking to the caregivers, encouraging them to find information, find opportunities, because it does take a village. And as a caregiver myself, you get used to the school system providing support. And then once they become adults, you feel like you're a little bit lost. So anything that you can do to point caregivers to help the talent find all of these resources. Because as you can see here, part of the idea of autism and entertainment was to bring together all of these separate groups who are helping this population, helping this community get work, helping the employers understand that they can employ this community. And it culminated in the grant helping us with a conference, but there's so much more that can be done. So I want to make sure that we talk about how you can help your clients and help their caregivers find more information. As we go to the next slide, here's a plug for us, right? Making sure that you even direct them to our website at Autism and Entertainment, because these other organizations, we have links to them on that website too, that this can be an easy one-stop area to get to other organizations, but also to find some of the webinars and resources that we're putting out there to, again, try to help the community, because there's so many groups who are really out there, and just getting that information, I know as a caregiver in the past has been difficult. And then I think here, the second major bullet point here, provide more information on your programs. Your programs are fantastic, whether it be self-determination, this paid internship program, and so forth. But there needs to be a little bit more here in order to bring this to life. And, so it sounds great that there's this program, but there's time that needs to be put into this in order to achieve it. So let's make sure that we're communicating that pretty accurately to everyone involved. What are some of the pitfalls along the way so that people can avoid them? And let's get everyone involved in this, because it's not just the client and the regional center program, but there are other people involved, whether it's the employer, it's an educational partner, a school that is training people and trying to get that program implemented, or a job support group. So I think we need to do a little bit more on communication, and we would look for regional centers to help out with that. And then that falls into the next big bullet about helping to improve the implementation around those programs as well. We have to answer to employers sometimes who are on deadlines about when they're offering these internships and getting them started. So just recognizing all of the other groups that are around these programs who are affected and being responsive to these different deadlines. The next slide talks about something specific here around selective policy. And I know Terry from Exceptional Minds is on the call, as well as you've heard from Hilary at Zavikon. When we think about this policy, you hear that there are many groups that are working to help this autism community. And most, if not all, people with an autism diagnosis also have comorbidities. So we are really not excluding some of these other areas, because we're looking at this whole person who has these other comorbidities. But in order to be effective with the programs that we deliver, many of these organizations are going to focus on autism. So the current policy, and many times we've had experiences where the organizations or the employer's program get excluded because they don't fit into this policy of being broader because they're focusing on a person who has an autism diagnosis. But these groups, the organizations and the employers, are really looking at this whole person. And even though their primary diagnosis is autism, they have other things too. And so what I would say is, I know the regional centers don't design policy, but we're asking that maybe you help us as we work with DDS and work with the different groups to maybe update this policy so it's not exclusive. And Terry or Hilary, do you want to comment any more on this?
I'll add 2 cents. Yeah, this works against the groups in terms of, for example, one of our educational partners is Jimmy Lifton, and he's designed a studio where he's working with autistic talent to do animation, and he's getting support from a lot of organizations so that he can build a studio. And this studio will give this group of people a lot of exposure to doing the work. But because of the current policies that the regional center is implementing, it works against using paid internships or some of the other tools that might be available through the regional center, because they're looking at it as not being an open program. And so these kinds of things I experienced because I wanted to have 2 PIPs, even though the people working on autism and entertainment, and that was frowned on in Orange County because they said, well, we only allow 1 because if we allow 2, then it's not a competitive integrated environment. And so it's these kinds of thinking that makes it difficult for those that are trying to get these people employees, trying to help these people build up their careers. And anytime you can listen to what they're trying to do and make some exceptions, because this is a person-centered approach, would be greatly appreciated by all of us that are trying to help this community. Terry, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that's very well stated. Thank you.
Okay.
And then the very last thing, you know, some of the things that we hope that we can continue to collaborate with the regional centers on is that continue to sponsor events and the conference. It was great working with the 4 regional centers who came and also participated in the exhibit hall, had tables, booths there, and talked it up with their clients. So that was fantastic. Continue to work with us on employer and business outreach. I think that there needs to be, you know, more done there. So as we're trying to come up with ideas, we'd like to partner with you on this. And of course, collaborating on these paid internship programs. You've heard a lot about that today. Gig work. You heard this industry is a lot of gig work. We need to figure out how we can better help this community to debug this support that needs to happen in this gig work, because a lot of it is about doing employment with employers. But what happens when it's just project work? It's gig work. You know, you do the project and then you move on. How can we best help this community in that kind of workspace? And then again, engage with us and our partners to understand these industry trends, because as they change, we're going to be looking to see how they impact on employment, and then how can your programs best support that? So we've gone through a lot of information, and I'll turn it over to Judi for her to close.
Thank you all. This is just trying to compress so much information and so much that we're trying to do going forward. We're trying to figure out if we can fund the next conference. We're trying to figure out if we can fund even what we're doing, because we were paid for by a grant. But what I'd like to take at least 5 minutes that we have left and open it up for conversation. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to look at all of these wonderful people who joined us today and see if there are any questions. Please raise your hand if you have one, or if you want to put it in the chat, I'll look at the chat.
Judi, there's a question from Terry in the chat. Do you see it?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you read it if you have it handy?
Oh, well, she wants to know if the modules will be available after the webinar.
Okay, so that I think is a Ginny question.
Yes.
Well, the webinar itself, I'll be providing the slides, and as we mentioned, this session is being recorded, and we'll make that available to you. But I think it might have been about Ginny's presentation and the team's presentation on the job coaching. And so Jenny, are those slide modules available?
They'll be available, but this is part of our deliverable package to the DDS. But thank you for your interest. We are very interested in training because we think it's an important part to the success of the client and the workplace.
Okay, thank you. So Jenny, should she just kind of, you two keep in touch?
Oh,
Terry,
sure.
and yeah, I know that Exceptional Minds and CLU, Brainstorm Productions work together from time to time. So stay tuned, I guess, Terry. Are there other questions? Okay, anyway, I'm going to show the Danny Bowman video. This was one of our spotlight videos. And why don't I just share the website while I'm doing this, just so you can see. I'll share my screen.
I'm saying this is the piece that was just at the San Diego Comic-Con Film Festival.
And I'll go to the Autism and Entertainment website. So this is the website we talked to you about. And you can see all the videos here on our videos. We're doing a webinar about one a month. We just had one for voiceover actors that was actually put together by Britt Patton, who is with Nickelodeon. But the whole conference is recorded and available to watch. You should send your clients here, or if you're interested, you can go there. And I'm going to share the Danny video that we shared at the Comic-Con.
Hi, I am Deanie Bowman, founder and CEO of Deanimation Entertainment, an animation company that I started in 2009, and I also happen to be on the autism spectrum. Being an animator has always been part of who I am, and I evolved to also become an educator. When I was 3 years old, before I could speak, my parents had an abundant collection of VHS tapes of animated movies. I used to pause the VHS a second forward each time, rewind it, and play the clip again. So I decided to try it with my plush toys and a camera by moving them and taking a picture. Move them, take a picture, move them, take another picture. Then I would ask my parents to develop the film. When I would get the film back, I would flip it like a flip book. Right here I have a flip book example, a wonky face. At age 11, when I moved in with my aunt and uncle, I showed them my picture books and animation that I had been working on just by using PowerPoint, MS Paint, and Adobe Photoshop. The first animation software I was introduced to by my uncle was Toon Boom Studio, which gave me the idea to start an animation company. I was just 11 and I didn't understand the reality of being my own boss. However, my aunt and uncle did take me seriously and helped me develop my company by helping me create a website. But I needed my aunt and uncle as my team to make it happen because nobody does it alone. It's important to have a team. Since then, I've received a BFA in animation in 2018 and an MBA in global strategy and leadership in 2020. One of the challenges was, first of all, learning to accept my autism. Growing up, I was not told that I have autism. I didn't know what that was until age 11 when I moved in with my aunt and uncle. It was a blessing because I could do all these amazing things I probably would not be able to do if it wasn't for my autism. Well, first of all, if somebody would like to pursue a career, it could be animation or anything, there is no age limit. I started my company when I was 14 years old. Second, it's okay to ask for help. Nobody does it alone. Get a strong team behind you of people that really believe in you and your mission, just like my aunt and uncle who believed in my mission. Third, remember to get out of your comfort zone. Push yourself because nobody is going to do it for you. I know it's difficult for me to push myself as well, but that's part of growing up. Diligence and organization are the keys to a successful independent living adult. Also remember, it's not only about the more you learn, the more you earn. Apply what you learn. If you're striving to get a degree based on your passion, it's more than about getting straight A's in class. However, don't fear failure. Everyone fails at one time or another, and that's part of the learning process. No matter how bad failure may feel, you must keep trying as long as you can. Don't compare yourself to others. Everyone has different career paths. That is the reason why you must find your passion first. And always be grateful for what you already have, and you will attract more good things. And take advantage of many networking opportunities depending on your passion and field. Take classes outside of college based on your passion and go to conferences and events. Don't listen to the naysayers. Just because they said you cannot do this or you cannot do that, just look straight at them and say, yes, I can and I will, just watch me. First, being part of the entire animation process and seeing the final product. And I enjoyed watching my students that I teach at animation workshops unleash their creativity by creating their short films. I love going and being part of animation events, like film screenings, panels, and conventions, locally and around the country. The superpowers I possess is the ability to hyper-focus and to stay on task. I also have the eagle eyes to see any small details. I have a passion of endless research and the ability to communicate the same language as my autistic peers. Not literally, what I mean the same level of communication and sharing common interests in animation.
Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you all being here today. Thank you to all of our speakers. Everybody did fantastic. It takes a village, and I appreciate all your support. If you have any questions, you can email me, and we'll be sending you copies of the slides as well as the video when it is available. So thank you, everybody.